Welcome to Creative Evolution, the show that gives artists a real plan for a long term career. I'm your host, Josi J. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming one of my dearest friends to the Creative Evolution hot seat. And I mean that with my whole heart. My guest today is someone who's never done anything halfway in his life. He got his first guitar at 13 and spent hours under headphones teaching himself in secret because in his household, music had always carried an allure that he could not explain. Not just something he loved, something forbidden, something they kept trying to skip past. And the more they skipped it, the more he had to have it. His cousin's girlfriend smuggled punk rock CDs to him. His parents confiscated his white clothes, his band shirts, and even his shoestrings. And none of it worked because 20 years later, he's still doing the thing and he cannot stop. But underneath all the humor and the chaos and all the Nerf guns and the bunk and the banana costume stories, there's something that this man said that I haven't been able to shake since we sat down together. He told me that if he has one purpose in this world, it's to entertain, to give people a brief distraction, to be a relief for the world, even if only for 30 minutes at a time. And he keeps Narcan in his guitar case just in case someone in those 30 minutes needs more than just music. That's who Mandy Wilson is. That's why I'm honored to call him my friend. And that's why I can't wait for you to hear this conversation. Remember, talent gets you the gig, but professionalism keeps it. Let's start the evolution. Can we do it? Hello and welcome to Creative Evolution.
Anytime you need me, I'm here.
I love it. I love it. We'll just dive right in. So, your dad is also a musician. What was it like growing up in a musical household, and how did that shape who you became as an artist?
Music was always like a fascination for sure, but I kind of felt like I had a weird gravitation to it that maybe the rest of my family members didn't always express that they had. I was the kid that would ask mom to tell everybody to shut up and turn the stereo up if a good song was coming on. And so I remember several like vacation trips, especially with like my older brother and cousin in the back seat and them going, because they had to be quiet for 3 minutes so I could get my music in. And then the song would be over, the radio would get turned down, they'd go right back to talking, and I would be sitting there like, well, wait a minute, time out here. There's no way the sports ball team is more impressive than Cyndi Lauper. Like, did you not hear what I just heard? Like, what's going on here? And I was fortunate enough that I always had my own personal music playback device from about 7 years old too. Not to brag, but I had the best skip protection CD player Walmart could sell. And several versions of the MP3 player, several different iPods growing up, which, by the way, quick tangent, shout out to the iPod because they had this feature to where to try to keep you from having music that you didn't pay for, what a concept that is. If I tried plugging my iPod into your iTunes, it would delete everything on my iPod and take your library. And if I tried to plug it back into my computer, the same thing, it would erase what I took from you and give me back mine. But I actually loved that feature because I would just give my iPod to everybody that I thought wouldn't steal it from me. And then the next day I would have a brand new music library to listen to and all new people to learn about at that point. And sometimes it would be just as cool if they had some stuff I already loved on there because it's like, oh, I didn't know you liked Iron Maiden. That's awesome. Well, maybe you'd like this band, so now you're making memories and recommendations with friends.
Right.
So, I mean, Dad was a musician professionally. He played with the Kingdom Heirs back at Silver Dollar City before that became Dollywood. And they toured quite extensively and did some really cool stuff. But he kind of had quit that by the time I was born. He didn't want to be the musician on the road, mom at home raising kids by herself kind of thing. He always had music in the car where mom kind of listened to the radio. He was more of like a collection guy. He had discs and definitely was way more into it than mom was. But the thing that I noticed more than anything at a really young age, especially, was I hate the skip button. Like if something came on the radio that mom didn't want me to hear, she would change the station. Or if something came on and dad knew it was something, whatever, he would skip it. And with hindsight now as an adult, I know it's because that's not age appropriate or whatever.
Right.
But as a kid, it's like, well, I just discovered this is the best thing in the world and you're hiding something about it from me. So music wasn't even my first love as much as it was my first mistress. It was like a secret thing. It was something about it was forbidden. It had an allure to it that I didn't understand. I couldn't grasp the concept of you can't have this when we're talking about music.
Right.
So naturally, that segued really nicely into middle school with stealing and harboring music in the house that I wasn't supposed to have. My older cousin, he dated this chick that was like a punk rock chick. Shout out to Linda. Linda would sneak CDs in the house for me, and by sneak, it would be a burn CD, and we would write Toby Keith or Kenny Chesney or something like that on it, but it would actually be like a Perfect Circle or Green Day or whatever, because they had their own CD collection. If they saw me with a disc that said John Michael Montgomery on it, they're not going to take it and listen to it. They have their own disc to spin.
Right.
So music was always like this kind of a secret thing. I got my first guitar at 13, and I did a lot of playing under headphones when I first got started for the same reason. Like all the stuff I was interested in, I couldn't tell where the line was much anymore because my parents would just kind of, I felt a little harsh on what they thought I could and couldn't listen to. So a lot of it was just cultivated in secret, coming home every day after school, sitting under headphones for 3 or 4 hours, just teaching myself and figuring stuff out. I would have loved to have had lessons, but I didn't feel like I could reach out to anybody because it felt like a taboo sort of thing. And I was right to feel that way because my freshman year, I had a intervention. My parents sat me down because they found a Wednesday 13 CD in my backpack. And one of the tracks on it was Your Mother Sucks to Hell, which, to be fair, is an Exorcist reference. It's not vulgar purely for the sake of being vulgar. They took away all my black clothes, all my band shirts. I couldn't even have black tennis shoes or black shoestrings.
Ah.
They took it all away, which all that did was I became that weird kid that changed clothes at school every day. I had
Yeah.
homies that would bring like trip pants and cool t-shirts, and I would just change in the bathroom out of my polo and khaki nonsense into some real stuff all day and then change back to go home. Like it's always been kind of like a push and pull thing with the household sort of stuff with it. I didn't get really comfortable with who I was and what I was doing until much later into my learning. But I mean, we're 20 years into playing guitar now, and they're either okay or they're getting really good at not saying something about it.
Right.
I can't not do the thing, so I just keep doing the thing.
Yeah. Did they ever pick you up from school early, not in your khaki and polo?
No, quite thankfully, no. I don't know what would have happened to me then. I was already just beside myself that they confiscated my shoestrings. You know what I mean? I can only
Right.
imagine what would happen then.
Oh goodness. So you come from a background where it was kind of taboo, and your dad was a musician. When did he start playing music again?
His background and his theory and his rudimentary stuff has always just been super solid because he'll go what feels like years in between ever picking up sticks. And then the second he sits down at a kit, it just becomes magic all over again.
Yeah.
He really picked it up once he retired. He's been retired, I think, probably 4 or 5 years ish now, maybe. And he's really stepped back into it in a big way. He was playing with like the Mighty Blue, and he had a couple of gigs here and there with some folks, and he's loved falling back in love with it. But just for the family, he wanted to sit it down for a minute and revisit it when he could give it full time and attention. I don't think he's not really a half measures kind of dude. He wants to do it the right way, all in, or he doesn't really want to mess with it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see a little bit of that in you too. You absolutely go all the way in.
I try. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I definitely try. Music was the first thing that I ever did that was like really constructive instead of destructive. Most things I tried, I would either self-sabotage or I just would out the gate be really bad at things, and it made me fearful of trying things in general.
Yeah.
So music was the first thing that it did feel bad to suck and not get the part down, but it felt even better finally getting it right. And it was it was just a motivation that I wasn't really finding anywhere else in my life. So it was really good to have something that challenged me and pushed me, and it was cool to just be able to be creative and to create in general. Like pulling something from my mind's eye into the physical world is something I'd never done before. It was always just dreams that I kept to myself, and now it's something I can show you. I
Yeah.
can show you a riff. And sometimes I feel like a riff can explain way more than my words can anyway. It's always just been the lens that I view the world through, and it's become the best way that I know to communicate and share with people in general.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to use that universal language.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Much like love, you've got music right there with it. Both beautiful languages. So you've played for a lot of bands over your career. How did that journey start, and what was the first band that really changed something for you?
It started with a bunch of different projects that were just in basements and garages, and we would learn a cover or two and write half of an original. There was a good handful of those in the beginning for sure. The first band that really did anything like big or meaningful would be I was in a group called Dreams of Yesterday. And there was a woman in the local community that was a family friend of the drummer's mom that needed a heart transplant. And we were able to coordinate something with the school to throw a benefit concert in the cafeteria on the Halls High cafeteria stage that's there. And somehow it got out to the news that kids were putting together a benefit concert for this. And so they came out and interviewed us and interviewed the lady. It was absolutely packed. There were a bunch of local businesses and a couple of local churches that came and not really stayed for the show, but came and did donations at the door. And we ended up making just a little over 2 grand, just a bunch of high school kids booking a show in their cafeteria. And so the band was great and the memories and all that stuff are good. Time is a funny and fickle thing. I'm not really as close to any of those people anymore as I wish that I were, but life just kind of took us all in different places. But that particular experience really stuck with me because it was the first time that I ever, like I said, being constructive. It was the first time something started as a thought and resulted in tangible, measurable good in another person's life. And it
Mm.
felt good to me to make the attempt.
Yeah.
We knew that we weren't going to swing a surgery in one concert, but the fact that the effort was made and we had something to show for it, like that really put me in my headspace finally of like, well, maybe this is more than just a cool thing that I can do. Maybe there is something more to this than, because I always knew internally it meant something more to me, and learning an instrument and being able to bring that out was great, but that was when the real world of it finally smacked me in the face and I saw potential and promise off of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've played multiple genres across your career. How do you move between genres without losing your own identity as the guitarist?
Well, I don't think I necessarily have one. It's nice that people will tell me that I have like a style or an energy that they prefer, but I try to just do what's in service to the music. I want to put on the show that I would want to hear if I were there to see it.
Yeah.
So, especially whenever I'm tackling something new that I've never done before, I really have no other choice but to study what the people that did it before me, and I need to do it in a way that is, I guess, authentically me, whatever that means, but more than anything, just paying the proper homage to the people that built the stage that I can now stand on. Kind of, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like there's a bunch of different ways that you can tackle certain songs, but just because you can doesn't always mean you should. There's very much such a thing as overplaying and hamming it up. Sometimes you just need to respect it and give it what it needs. And I feel like that's the secret sauce, if there were such a thing, is just
Yeah.
do whatever is in service of the music more so than in service of yourself about it.
Yeah. I've known you for a while now, and I know that you tend to put your ego to the side when it comes to music, which I love. It's easy to work with you, truly, because you don't have this massive ego that walks in before you do.
No, I just like doing cool stuff. Like I like having a good time with it, and I think the music does a better job at talking than I do, as I've probably already said. So just going out there and doing the thing, I mean, that's where it's at. I'm all about having the good times.
Yeah, and being able to create something beautiful, and like you said, playing homage to those that come before us and that literally built the stage for us.
My dad told me this. I'm probably going to butcher this quote, but one of my favorite quotes that he's ever given me was, "If you want to catch an owl, you study the rat, because owls eat rats."
Right.
And that was his roundabout way of getting at, if, like, for example, if I'm a big fan of, say, Avenged Sevenfold, the best way to understand why they write the way that they write and how to do the things that they do, it makes more sense to study who they look up to and who their inspiration is, because that's what got their engine hot and ready to crank out what it is that I'm such a fan of now.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's helpful to look back a couple of generations and see what set the path if you're ever not sure where the path is heading. And you can kind of, if you don't necessarily know how to make new ground, you can at least take note of the ground that was made prior and
Yeah,
do the best with what you have.
that's so smart. And I love that though. You gotta study the rat. That's brilliant.
He probably can't take credit for that. I don't think I don't think he would have came up with that, but he was smart enough to write it down and share it with me. So
Hey,
I appreciate that.
and he used it in the best context. So
Yeah, for sure.
points for you, Dad.
Shout out.
So, what was the hardest part of your career and what kept you going through it?
The hardest part of the career, the fact that I have to do it every day. No, I mean, I've definitely had my fair share of setbacks. I've started way more bands that have ended in ashes, for lack of a better phrase for it. You kind of cut your teeth a lot with people in the beginning. You don't necessarily know who you can trust or who you can work with, especially in the early days. It's like, well, I know a guy that owns a drum kit. I guess that makes him the drummer now. A lot of that happened for sure. Really, the most egregious one that comes to mind is I was in a band. I can't say their name, but a lot of people will know by the story. The singer stole my guitar head and cabinet and pawned it for drugs the day of a show where we were opening up for a international touring act at the old Valerium.
Oh my gosh.
And when I confronted him about it, his response was, yeah, but once we play the show, I'll have enough money to get your stuff back. So, I mean, you'll have your stuff back tomorrow. It was just a temporary setback thing.
And you didn't punch him.
Did not punch him. It would only make me feel good for a moment, but then I would have to live with the fact that I hit somebody that was struggling with addiction and fighting way worse demons than what I was fighting with. Like I was out some equipment, but morally he was out way more than I was. So I didn't want to add on to whatever strife he was already going through with his life.
Yeah.
He was definitely a piece of shit, don't get me wrong, but there was no need for me to make him even more of one or to add more to his plate.
Yeah, dog pile on him.
For sure.
Yeah. How old were you when that happened?
20.
Oh my gosh, you were so insightful already at 20.
Seen a lot of things doing the music thing, especially like a lot of messed up people do have a tendency to lean on art to fight through their demons and to get stuff out. And so traveling in these circles, we've seen a lot of unfortunate circumstances, and we've all been through our unfair share of not so great times and fights with things. So like I always keep a thing of Narcan in my guitar case. You just never know what you're gonna run into, and you never know who's dealing with what. I've been blindsided by people that I never would have assumed would be and are, and there's people that aren't standing with me today as a result of losing these types of battles. So I try not to add. I try to just be a relief for the world. I feel like if I have one purpose at all, it is to entertain, and it is to give you just a brief distraction, if only for 30 minutes at a time. Like that is what I live for, and that's why I'm in love with the performance side of it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's one thing now that you wish you had known from the very beginning?
I was really bitter and angry in the beginning because I didn't really have my ego in check. When I was first playing in the Knoxville scene in actual venues that weren't just the cafeteria or a community center or whatever, I was playing to nobody. And I mean like nobody. Like there's a waitress checking her phone, and there's a manager staring at you and his watch because he's waiting for you to finish so he can tip her out and shut down the bar. Like nobody. And I was really mad about that for a whole lot of years because I felt like I was doing all the stuff. I was slutting it up on social media, sharing it, spamming it everywhere I could. I used to bark. Like I used to go and stand outside of concerts that weren't even our concert and just wait for them to let out and just hand out flyers to everybody that was walking through the door, whoever would accept one from my hand. I used to do the same thing at Hot Topic and FYE at the mall.
Yeah.
I would hand out burn CDs that just had 2 of our tracks on it just to try to get our music out there somewhere. And there were a bunch of people that wouldn't even accept free music or a free opportunity to listen to music. And that I struggled with that a lot. I was really angry about that stuff. But then I could either sit in that and just be miserable, or I did what I ended up doing, which is just falling in love with the performance side of it and just getting it out. I had to be grateful for the opportunity to be told to turn up for once, as opposed to feeling like I had to play in quiet all the time.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with performing, and I got used to putting on incredible shows for 2 or 3 people at a time. I wanted them to be blown away by the amount of effort and care that was being given them for only being 2 people in the crowd.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but the secret sauce of it all is just keep finding ways to fall in love with it and staying enthusiastic about it, because there's a lot of days that ain't so great. There's a lot of days where there isn't money coming in and opportunities aren't quite right, and venues are ghosting you when you've reached out to them about booking, and people are rescheduling and canceling 10 minutes before they're supposed to be there. There's a lot of that in this world. So you just got to stay anchored to the thing that you absolutely love about it and that you want to kill you about it, because otherwise it really will start to slowly kill you.
It really will.
Like,
And
this is the worst job in the world to have if you hate. Like if you think a teenager working the fry cook position at the McDonald's hates his job, miserable musicians are some of the worst people I've ever had to deal with. People that
yes.
absolutely hate their position that they're in, because this is hell if you don't like it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you can't find the love in it, like you said, that secret sauce. We've definitely met some very miserable people that you can tell they've lost sight of what they truly love, and it hampers their creativity.
And it's so sad too, because there really is something to be liked or digested from anything anybody has to offer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's a single genre that I just absolutely hate, and I've never come across an artist that I can't find something about it that I appreciate.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
even if I have to dig deep, like, there's always something there that's worthy of respect and worthy of listening to. You know?
And plus, that goes hand in hand with, we recognize that we can learn from anybody. I think being able to listen to music or look at it through that lens where you can say, okay, there's something in here that I know I like.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to level up playing too. Like, anytime that you can sit down with somebody that's better than you and have them show you something, like, it probably took them years to play it so well that you're blown away enough to ask them to show you something.
Yeah.
And then they show you in the span of 5 minutes. That means you time traveled.
Yeah.
Skipped the years of experience they put into getting good at that, enough for them to condense it down and then feed it to you. Like, that is how you get better, is by working with people that make you want to be better, and people that you can just soak up as much as you can from.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you think about letting everybody hear some Summoner Circle?
Ooh, please.
Can we do it?
I'm so glad we got to listen to some Summoner Circle and let everybody hear a little bit of what you're doing now. So, how'd you get in with them?
So I met Herb probably in, I think it was 2013. There's a guy here in Knoxville that owns Wave Transform Studio named Yannick. And Yannick put on a couple of shows in the early days called the Wave Transform Festival, where it was mostly just an excuse to get his band, Gone in April, kind of road ready for some of the tours and traveling that they were setting up to do. And we were playing a show, and the sound guy straight up told me that my equipment was not good and he did not want it on his stage. And he asked if there was any way that I could just run my pedals through the next band's gear. That way he only has to mic up one band's equipment, or one less piece of equipment, kind of thing. And so that guitar player's gear that I had to go and ask what ended up being Herb. I think I'm like 19 at this point, maybe 19, 20 years old at that, if even that. So here I am just coming up to this guy, nervous as hell. I've never even played through a half stack before. Like, I just wasn't at that level yet. And I was like, hey man, I know you don't know me, but is there any way I can play through your rig tonight? Hey, is that okay? And he dropped whatever it was he was doing and walked me over there and said, okay, this is how you turn it on. This is how you get from this to this. I also have this if you want to use it. And just sweet as could be, just he treated me like I was his own bandmate, having never met him.
Yeah.
Herb has always been the captain for my whole music career. Even when we weren't doing stuff together, anytime I wasn't sure, had questions about a contract or questions about promoting or just anything, he was my North Star for a lot of stuff, just because he's really approachable, he's really intelligent, and he's all about this life and wants to share and see other people succeed in a genuine way that I don't know many people are. So I've known Herb, thankfully, for years from that relationship, and I've always had a passing fancy for Summoners. Like, we didn't get to play a whole lot of shows together just from genre differences, but I always kept tabs on what he was up to, and the circumstances just aligned at one point when I was working for promotion. They came in to do a live session there, and I was engineering that day and got to meet the band in that capacity. And the timing just worked out in such a way that there was a European tour that they were fixing to go off on, and their guitar player at the time wasn't able to go. And they asked me just completely out of the blue if I would be down to do it, because I have a history of saying yes, whether I can or not, and cramming a bunch of material in, make stuff happen for people. And so we did the thing. I started going over there, doing double duty with my own band's practices, and then going to their band practice, and did that for a couple of months. And then before you know it, I'm on an airplane over to Europe with the boys, 18 shows in 18 days. Come back home. I think it was 2 years later ish, roughly. I was in between projects, and they pitched it to me again, and I couldn't help myself. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to do the thing again. So here
Yeah.
we are.
Oh, yeah. So you told me in the last interview that no one else got to hear. You told me that you got to be on this, what, double-decker bus? A tour bus?
Yeah, it was a crew of 23 people,
Oh my
all on one bus. The upstairs was all bunk beds, and so that's where everybody slept. Downstairs had a couple of captain-style chairs and a couch or two. Yeah, it was pretty insane. We had two full-time drivers. That way, none of us had to worry about navigating in a country we'd never been in, and we were always moving. We always either just woke up in the town we were supposed to be in that day, or when we woke up, we were just an hour or two shy for the most part. Their scheduling was impeccable, and obviously it's a lot easier to shuffle 5 bands worth of gear around when you've got 20 plus people crew all at the
Right.
same place. That was really fun. The thing that was peculiar about it, though, is all of the Polish guys, none of them would speak English unless they were specifically talking to you. So you'd be in the bus for, let's say, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours going somewhere, and a Polish conversation happening in front of you. You're just not in it.
Right.
And you better pay attention if you hear some English, because that means they are actually talking at you. But otherwise, you're just, I have no idea what's going on around me. Laughing, arguing, shouting, banging fists on tables. I have no idea what they were talking about, and I'll never know. But I absolutely love those guys that we went out with.
Sounds like it was a lot of fun. So you're known to be a prankster on the road.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, Brandon's really not gonna like me after this next one. I've got like Nerf guns in my bunk in the band vehicle. I've got googly eyes. I've got fake piles of shit. Like I've got just you name it. The Chinese finger traps, handshake buzzers, you name it, I got it.
Oh, tell us about the time that you took one of your bandmates' clothes.
Took one of my oh yeah, Austin. So Austin very rudely took a shower the night before in the hotel room and used all of the towels for his one shower. And I don't get mad, but I do get even with folks. So the very next day, we were at Planet Fitness to catch our shower for the day there. And while Austin was in the shower, we took all of his clothes out of the locker. But I did, because I'm not heartless, I did leave him a banana costume. The problem is Austin is like 6'2" or 6'3", and I am not. So my banana costume didn't exactly fit the behemoth that is Austin. So he walks outside to where the rest of us are, cameras out at the ready naturally. But he's wearing it like a dress from the bottom up, only covering his delicates, walking through the parking lot with the banana costume on. And then all was forgiven for the towels. We were on even playing field again.
Oh my gosh, just sheer madness, I'm sure, in the best way.
Oh yeah. I mean the road is tough. Stuff goes wrong, stuff is expensive, stuff doesn't always meet expectations. Like there's so much that happens, and it really quickly turns into being work, and I don't like working.
Right.
So you've got to have fun with it. A little bit of chaos. I try to be everybody's little brother. You know what I mean? Like I want to be just annoying enough to keep a smile on your face, and just do whatever I can to make the day a little bit easier. And plus, I get bored, so it's nice to entertain myself.
Right. with with Nerf guns, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally. So, what does being a working musician actually look like financially?
Well, you spend way more than you make from my experience.
Isn't that the truth?
But I think the more you do it, the better you get at negotiating for yourself and kind of arguing for yourself. A lot of places you kind of have to show them and prove to them that you're somebody that can fill their room and can do all of the things. And we always we always walk with the best of intentions, but the return isn't quite what we all probably would like for it to be, I would say. But it's kind of we're at a point where generally speaking our music is just reinvested into itself infinitely, and that's I mean, like, that's just the best way to get us down the road to the next venue, just putting that money towards gas. And obviously we reinvest the merch into getting more merch. We're fixing to do an exclusive release this year where we're putting something up behind a paywall on a Bandcamp, and that'll be the only place that it lives, just to see kind of what people think. And it's going to be a live record, so I expect newcomers. I mean, there may be some people that love live that'll jump on it, but I think it's more or less going to be for the old school people that have been with us this whole time. It's older songs on the live release, so we're gonna try and see what that's worth in the marketplace just as a standalone piece of content. But overall, like, this is gonna sound like a cop out of an answer, but I don't factor it into my budget. I don't look for it, and I don't expect it in any way. Like, I
Yeah.
always go in just looking for the party and looking for the good time and the experience of it more than anything. Like, them, if anything, I'm shocked when money is handed over at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Even though you shouldn't be shocked, everybody should be paid for their labor. But like, if you go in just with the art forward, I think it just makes a better time for everybody all the way around, and the money just becomes a happy accident at the end.
Like that a lot. So, with this band that you told me previously that your bandmates in Summoner Circle, they're almost like surgical and methodical with how they write their music. As I imagine it's the same with their finances and how they reinvest.
We definitely try to be. Like, we've done some really cool stuff, and cool stuff is unfortunately expensive. I don't think that there's necessarily some kind of secret in the sense of like how we're moving and shaking through the industry. Like, unfortunately, the reality is a lot of stuff is pay to play. Bigger opportunities and stuff generally are now buy on based.
Yeah.
Managers cost money. Getting to and from the venue, obviously, in gas nowadays is incredibly expensive.
Insane.
So there's always somebody looking to take a little bit of something from it. But I think for the most part, we do fairly well at keeping the whole thing afloat. And there's never really it's never a point of stress in the sense that we're arguing at each other about it. We all just kind of understand the nature of the beast is what it is. And
Yeah.
it's just accepted that the bulk of the money that we do make just needs to be reinvested into doing the next cool thing, because there's always something cool around the corner that's also going to be expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You're preaching to the choir on that one.
Hmm.
Especially our bus is diesel. Yuck. It cost us like $400 to get us down to Atlanta and back.
Yeah, you know how jealous I am of the Q Boys for being a three-piece? They don't understand the troubles of a 6 and 7 piece band out here trying to make our way in the world. It's so tough because
They don't
we
know.
travel with seven. There's 6 members, and we always bring our sound guy.
Yeah.
So it cramming 7 people into an Econoline van to drive to California and back like we are later this year. There's a lot of smells that happen in that van, and
Absolutely.
most of them aren't great.
Oh, yeah. You're smelling each other the whole time, and you're squished in a van.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely squished.
Very intimate
Oh my gosh. I hope it has AC.
most of the time. But really, like, at we collectively don't like the cold, especially our drummer. So we pretty much like torturing ourselves with touring when it's hot outside.
Oh, yeah.
Thankfully this year it'll be another fall tour. But generally what we do is we pull into like a truck stop at night, open the doors, roll the windows down, plug some fans up into some batteries that we have. Like, we bring 2 generators with us, and you just hope for the best and know you're going to wake up a little sweaty.
Yeah.
It is what it is. That's kind of that's been our formula here recently that works the best. Is we hit Planet Fitness while we're traveling and use that for showers during the day, and then at night just parking at the truck stops. Because I mean, there's a lot of for people that don't travel like that. There actually is like a small community of parking lot people. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of random folks that travel the country and find themselves sleeping at truck stops at night. So you meet some fun characters that way. But it's not as sketchy always as you might think. Like my mother is terrified when I tell these stories
Oh,
because
I'm
it
sure.
sounds scary to be out and about like that. But there's like a weird unspoken respect among campground and parking lot people.
Yeah, there really is. And you're right when you say you meet the most interesting people in those places.
Yeah, the last time we went out, God, this was so funny. So everywhere we go, when you see a van, and so I don't fault people for making the comment, but anytime we pull up to a Buc-ee's or to a truck stop and you see the van door slide open and 6 dudes step out looking the way that I look, the number one question we always get are y'all in a band? It never fails.
I guess we are a band.
But on this most recent time that we went out, we got out, we were doing the thing, all walking in. And there was this lady that saw us coming, and we look at her and she starts smiling, and we know it's coming. And she goes, "Ah, plumbers."
Thank you, kind lady.
She was so good. And she ended up being some kind of world record holder for women's BMXing.
That's awesome.
She was also traveling. She was on a tour herself, going from track to track with her bike, and was doing, I don't know if it was jumps or if it was derby racing or what it was that she was doing, but she was some kind of high ranking world record holder for women's division BMX. It was cool.
That's awesome.
You never know who you're gonna, that's what I'm saying. You never know who you're gonna run out to. There's a lot of people that have road lives.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so unexpected too. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't expect some random woman at a gas station to be like, "Oh yeah, I hold this title with BMX."
Oh yeah. Yep, they need gas too.
They do need gas.
But yeah, her timing couldn't have been better. Just plumbers.
Yes, plumbers. I love it. What has been the biggest changes in the music industry over the course of your career, and how have you adapted?
Biggest changes I would say was like it to a certain extent. I guess it depends on what day you ask me. Some days I have a better headspace about it than others, but I would say it feels like we're getting a little carried away with some of the capabilities that social media has allowed us. And I feel like sometimes we are getting kind of away from the music itself a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of people want you to be something that they want you to be a brand, they want you to be a product, they want you to be all of these words that we would never ascribe to ourselves in a million years, but because for whatever reason this is a business, we have to treat it like a business from time to time. And I mean, I didn't become a guitar player because of my just boundless ambition and work ethic. I like loud, pretty noises. You know what I mean? Like I didn't
Yeah.
really want to make a product or to think about marketing or any of that stuff. And they're such a necessary evil, and everybody is doing it. And what's worse is you're not even just competing with musicians, because like if I pull out my phone right now and go to Reels, I'm going to see a cute cat video. I'm going to swipe up. I'm going to see a clip of Josie J. I'm going to swipe up. I'm going to see some dude fixing a pipe that I don't have the tools for. So like you're competing with stuff that's not even your own
Yeah.
brand and not even your own market
Yeah.
with the stream of media is nowadays. So sometimes I get caught up in that. I don't like touching it at all. I'm thankful that I'm not the social media guy in this band. We have other people that are way better at it and are killing at it right now. Just like John is crushing it for us. I couldn't be happier with that. But so I guess that would be the biggest change, is at a certain point, it started all about, hey, I really want you to be present at this show and share this moment with us.
Yeah.
And now it's about being present with people that you don't even get to really see face to face or have meaningful talks with in the digital realm. And I kind of would like to just get back into the dingy dive bars a little bit if we could, with it literally and figuratively. I hate it, but I don't think any amount of bitching is going to change it, or at least not for me.
Right. Right. And it is so different to be able to be in person after you've performed and just be able to walk into the crowd and talk to people.
Oh yeah.
And you only get that at dive bars unless you just find a way to miraculously make it out from backstage and get in the crowd with everybody.
Yeah, and that's really where that's where the real FaceTime and stuff is happening for sure, because like people have made the comment to us like, "Oh, you guys aren't really what I thought you were going to be." And it's like, well, yeah, because we, you know, what death metal or what black metal band has Nerf guns that lets you shoot the members at their merch table? You know what I mean? I'll give you $5 off that shirt if you can shoot the singer. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm more interested in. Like I would rather have 5 good, meaningful face-to-face conversations with people at the table than have 100 reactions on a post or something online.
Yeah.
Even though we're conditioned to think that that's the success and that's the winning, like I don't know. I'm still too plugged into the people side of it to go full in on the digital space of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard for me to really get into the whole social media side of things.
Yeah.
Because it's not that I'm nervous to put myself out there. It's just I have a million other things going on.
Well, my biggest problem with it is I don't. This is going to sound maybe bad, but it is truthful, so it is what it is. I don't care what you think about it. Like I'm up there playing and loving it, whether you like it or not, whether you intended to be there or not. So like, I mean, I'll post that we're playing a show. It's like, hey, if you want to have a good time, this is where the good time is happening.
Yes.
But like, I kind of don't care. Like I don't like the idea of having to audition for people and trying to get the approval from people, because as far as I'm concerned, I know that what I'm doing is cool, because I wouldn't
Yeah.
be doing it if I didn't think it was cool as hell.
Exactly.
So that's like one of my biggest pet peeves is battle of the bands and stuff like that. It's like, well, this is a subjective experience. Why are we bringing judging and stuff? Like keep that shit out. Leave that to the quarterback. Like keep it in the areas that competition is warranted. Like I don't like that in a musical space. And it's not that I can't take the criticism. It's just I don't care what you have to say. And if I did something to
Right.
give you that impression, I'm sorry.
And I don't think that sounds bad at all. Like you said, it is truthful, so there's merit in that. But also, like, I don't care what people think either. I am my worst critic.
Mm-hmm.
And what other people think of me is none of my business.
Exactly.
It's none of my business. If I'm sorry if you don't like me, but I don't care either. I think we're kind of conditioned to be that way after being in the music industry for as long as we have to.
It especially sucks being in a metal band because there are some crybaby elitists out there. Like there are some, especially in this genre, I'd never encountered that before. Like there are people that have the audacity to say that that's not true metal, or that's not a true this, that, or the third. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm on a stage doing the thing. So, I mean, that's real enough. Is it not? Like I'm doing the thing. You can say I'm not doing the thing, but I'm doing the thing.
Exactly. You're up there, you're doing it, you're living it, you're performing it. And music evolves.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I understand it's because people generally don't like change. But you don't have to be a purist when it comes to metal or any genre.
I go back and forth on it just a skosh, because part of me envies the fact that they are so adamant and so passionate about the thing that they like that they're willing to look me in the face and tell me that I'm shit. Part of me respects that a great deal. I don't want to listen to it. I don't respect when it's coming out of their mouth, but I respect that it's something that they hold within them somewhere. Like it's cool to be a fan of things and to like things. And if that manifests as you being negative and that's you living your best, I mean, I guess more power to you, but I don't really seek it. I don't care. I'm more in it just for the show and for the experience, because the people that are there that care about it, those are the ones that I'm more likely to make that connection with anyway. I typically don't bond with people over stuff that I hate. It's more,
Right.
it's the stuff that I love that I feel like I tend to meet people.
Yeah, well, unless they also hate the same thing you hate. Then there's definitely some bonding that happens there.
That is very true. I've definitely bonded with some people over my hatred of Burger King, so I guess that's true.
What is this hatred of Burger King?
It just it's not good. It was good. It's not good. Them and Pizza Hut are the two biggest titans that I've seen fallen in my lifetime, as far as being the king of the castle to now being the one that sweeps and locks up after.
Yeah.
And I hate it. They used to be on top. I feel like this country is at its best when the underdog wins. Like when Pepsi is the number one soda, we're the best version of ourselves.
I love it. I really love a good Impossible Whopper. It's not technically a Whopper according to some people, but to me, I think it's wonderful.
I love you enough to respect your opinion, even though I don't agree with it.
It's one of my little guilty pleasures to go get a fake meat burger.
We'll get you a fake meat patty, then you've earned it.
What do you think about listening to some more independent music?
Oh, please.
Can we do it that
Welcome back. What'd you think about that?
Loved it.
I'm so glad. I thought you might. So you've had a long career with a lot of bands behind you. How do you keep the love for music alive after all these years?
I'm not scared to burn it down and start over when I'm in a position that it's no longer serving me or serving my interest or serving my initial spark for getting out and doing the thing. And unfortunately that manifests in a couple of different ways, and it often manifests in quitting bands and hurting feelings and damaging friendships and the like. But I mean, like for me, like this comes from such a personal place that whenever I get in such a headspace that it's just not working and it's not serving, it does shift into feeling like work again.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get me to do work. So like
Right.
it becomes a bit of a challenge. I'm always on the prowl for new music. Finding new stuff always keeps me amped and energized as well. That way I don't sit on stuff for too long. My favorite game, and I started doing this in Europe because I don't know where the idea came. I just did it one night and it had great results. Anytime I'm at a venue that has a bathroom that's plastered in band stickers, I always look for the one that catches my eye, that either has the funniest logo or has the coolest logo or what have you. And then I look them up online and start following them.
Yeah.
It started, we were at a venue in Austria, and there was this great sticker for a band called Hans Laser Alien Slam. And the first song that I looked up by him, it's a song about lifting weights and pumping irons in the gym, and he does Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions and quotes throughout the whole song. And it's like slam metal mixed with 80s synthwave about Arnold Schwarzenegger getting ripped and pumping iron in the gym. I didn't know if that was just because it was an Austrian band. Maybe all Austrian people write music about Arnold. I don't know, but like they they were so fun, and I was so just blown away by such an abstract pull that I was like, I should just do this everywhere.
Yeah.
And I do. I always snap a picture of my favorite sticker, and then the next day I look up the band. I try to find out as much about them as I can. I reach out to them, be like, hey, I was in this place and saw your sticker. Love your stuff. Keep up the good work. And I always try to find new things to get the old wheel spinning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Restlessness is the biggest enemy. I just can't land in a situation where I feel like I'm in a rut, because I get really cagey when
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a rut.
I think a lot of us, I won't say all of us, but I think a lot of us do.
Yeah.
That is something that we have to keep in check, even in our own projects.
Oh yeah, it definitely takes a discipline, because some days just picking up the guitar is the hardest part.
Yeah.
I know I know once it's in my hands and I'm comfortable, I can sit and jam for hours or learn whatever it is that I'm working on or write or whatever I need to do. But some days the hardest part of all that entire process, is just making myself sit down to do it.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I absolutely love it, but there are still those days where I just can't do it. If I go 3 or 4 days in a row without picking up my guitar at all, it starts to show up in the other facets of my life.
Yeah.
I can feel my temperament shift. I can feel myself being a little cagey and being a little kind of off my A game, typical happy-go-lucky, kind of dude. So I really I have to practice. God, what's the best way to put this? I think the best way is everything in moderation, including moderation.
Yeah.
I have to know when not to dive in too much and go too hard in the paint, or else I will get burnt out. But I also have to know when vacation time is over and when to pick it back up and get back to work.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part.
Because getting stuck in either mode can absolutely destroy you.
Right.
I don't like who I am when I don't play guitar, and I'm kind of a dick whenever I'm too focused and too zoned in on something and won't let anything else enter my tunnel vision.
Yeah.
So there really is a lot of balance there.
Yeah, I know how difficult that can be. I have noticed that if I don't sing, like we rehearse twice a week, which you know that.
Us too.
But there have been some weeks where we haven't had rehearsal. And I feel like just in that week, I'm like, gosh, I haven't sang in a month. Even if I'm singing in the shower or even if I'm singing in the car,
Yeah.
I'm not actually singing. I'm not performing. And I've realized how much of an impact that makes on me and my entirety, my whole personality if I don't get to perform.
My theory is whatever it is we tap into headspace wise to be able to do this, I think is like the better, more ideal part of who we are. And whenever you're away from that, it's like being away from a friend a little bit. You're not
Mhm.
tapped into, I think our gifts are, one of the better qualities about us, or at least for me, I think music is the only thing that I do right in the world.
Oh,
So like whenever I unplug from that, even for extenuating circumstances like a vacation or just a really stressful week at work or just scheduling conflicts, even if it's just a temporary kind of a speed bump, I feel different when I'm not locked into whatever the majesty is of creation, you
yeah.
know. I don't claim to understand it, but I do understand what I'm like when I'm without it, and it's not very pleasant.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're tapping into the ether a lot of the times. I
Definitely.
think. I think we're tapping into the ether because sometimes you just feel it with your entire body. Every fiber of your being you feel when you tap in. And there's something beautiful and addictive and scary and, it's a beautiful thing.
when I
Chaos.
when I get on that stage, it doesn't matter what I have going on back at home. It doesn't matter what was happening at my day job. It doesn't matter, the fact that I'm hungry or that I forgot to take my pre-show piss or whatever is going on in my world. It all disappears for that hour and a half or however long the set is while I'm there.
Yeah.
And that's the only time, and it's, I guess, it is kind of poetic. That's the only silence that I find as far as my inner world and my inner monologue is when I'm up there doing the thing and just, I'm finally able to, consciously or not, just shut down all of the world and just zone in on this one thing that's incredibly important to me and the people that I'm sharing that experience with,
Yeah.
and there's something to be said for that. I really do think it is kind of like an ether because I can't wrap my head around it, but somehow it wraps itself around me and comes out.
And I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Oh, like we've said before, you've played in a ton of different bands, different genres. So you've had a lot of different front people and band leaders over the years. What have you learned about what makes a great leader in a band?
It's important to know when it's your turn to lead, when it's your turn to follow, and when it's your turn to get out of the way. My favorite Paul Stanley quote is, being in a band, you're all in the same vehicle going to the same place, but there's still only one steering wheel.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're in the front seat passenger just helping navigate and somebody else is leading the charge. They know what the thing is or they're the point of contact or whatever the scenario is. Sometimes that has to be you. Sometimes you have to be the one to give direction, and sometimes it's completely handled. There is a utility to just being on standby and being there in support for the people that are piloting the ship okay.
Yeah.
You need to just be prepared to be in any seat and understand what it means to be in that seat and know that you're just as important, even if you're not the one necessarily at the forefront of whatever the development is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's brilliant advice. How do you handle creative disagreements in a band setting?
Well, luckily, for the most part, as long as the focus is that it's in service of the music, a lot of those decisions are kind of made more or less on their own. Like there was an instant recently where we were writing this song and there was just this one section where it was a transition and something about it just wasn't sitting quite right with the drummer. And he recommended we try two or three different things to not necessarily change it, but just to maybe fluff it or to give it a different kind of light. And the guys in Knoxville that are sitting and working on it were like, well, we like it, or else we wouldn't have sent it to you in the first place. So like obviously we think that this is a winner, or else we wouldn't have bothered you with it. And so sometimes it's you get a little bit of friction creatively if somebody has like it isn't seeing your vision or sees your vision in a different light. But as long as the goal is still oriented around, well, we want this to be the best version of whatever it is that it can be, a lot of times, we try everything and we're not afraid of it not working.
Right.
Sometimes you have to completely rewrite the piece. Sometimes all it takes is just adding an ooh or an ah over top of it for a split second. And it's like, oh, that fills the gap. It's
Right.
perfect. So it's kind of hard to tell what the song needs, but the song is really good at telling you what it needs. It's not always easy to just see it in your head. You just kind of have to put it out there and just have everybody be honest about it.
Yeah.
And for the most part, at least with this band, because you had said earlier that they're surgical, we kind of have to be, but because of our circumstances, with Brandon living in Philly full time, we do the bulk of the writing when not all six of us are ever in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, that has to be challenging.
There's a lot of times too, because Herb and John are also in a band together that's separate from Summoners, and so sometimes they have ideas or come up with something when they're hanging out on other people's time, and stuff just always comes up, or sometimes me and the new piano player that I can't say yet will go off and just kind of try to wrap our heads around whatever the piece is doing or what we can do for the piece. So it always, I can't even say always. I'm never sure what to expect. It just works itself out. You just have to be willing to be wrong and be willing to get out of the way if ego is the thing that's in the way of getting the thing done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I've worked with plenty of people that are like, yeah, but it has to be this way. This is how I envisioned it. This is how I wrote it. And it's like, well, if I'm just, tell me that on the front end. Like,
Yeah.
if you think it's perfect and it needs to be played exactly this way, I'll do that. But don't come at me like it's a collaborative effort if you're gonna, if you're gonna write pieces for me.
Yeah.
Because I can make either dynamic work. I try not to deal in just absolutes in that regard. It
Yeah.
can be whatever it can be until it's printed and mastered. Before mastering it, I'm open to whatever happening.
Yeah, I have worked with people like that before, and like you said, if they could just be upfront about it, like, "Hey, I'm gonna steer the ship this time,"
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to those collaborative moments, yeah, it would be helpful. It wouldn't be so stressful, or it wouldn't waste as much time either.
Yeah. It really is a case by case basis, because sometimes the song comes together on its own and it happens with lightning quickness.
Yeah,
Sometimes you can write a song in one band practice and it just be done and it be legit.
exactly, yeah.
Sometimes you have to revisit it for 2 months straight before it finally locks in. Or sometimes you have to face the reality of, okay, this just does not work here. Let's save these riffs and throw them in the junk drawer. And if we need something later, we can circle back. Because luckily we work entirely in the box whenever we write. So every time we have an idea, we're immediately recording it and dissecting it, and people are throwing their pieces on it instead of jamming it in the room and feeling it and letting it kind of naturally turn into something. We're kind of test tube babying it a little bit and
Yeah.
poking it and prodding it in a way to make it work. And as a result, if we like something but it doesn't work, we have a an actual junk drawer folder in our Dropbox.
Right.
So like, hey, this is a 22-second riff in the key of whatever. If we are ever in this territory again and just need something, it's here.
Yeah, that's really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Back up your files, folks.
Always.
Put it in Dropbox, put it in iCloud, put it on a hard drive, put it in all the places so you can find it later. But that's a brilliant idea, having that kind of junk drawer. So you can just pull that out whenever you need to. That's really smart.
It's so helpful too, just being able to, I mean, because we're in the age of technology where it's available, you should just use it. Like even on my own time, I've gotten to the point where if I'm just practicing guitar at home, I've got my DAW fired up and I'm plugged into my computer playing through my amp sim as opposed to like an amp on the couch. Because if I accidentally write something, which is typically how my writing happens, is by accident, it's already there and I can record it there in the moment.
Yeah.
Like there's this really fascinating thing on Netflix. It's 3-2-1 McCartney, or McCartney 3-2-1, something like that. It's Rick Rubin sitting down with Paul McCartney. And I tell everybody this, so if I've told you this before, I'm sorry. But they go through old Beatles tracks and Wings tracks in the studio and listen to stuff in solo. And he talks to them about the process of writing, some of those legendary pieces. And he says it as plain as day, because Rick Rubin was hinting at, well, what was the secret to writing so many hits and doing the things that the Beatles did to change the world? And he goes, well, back in the day, we didn't have recording devices. So if you woke up Monday morning with a song in your head, it had to survive until you went to the studio on Thursday.
Right.
Or else you showed up to the studio Thursday with nothing in hand to record.
Yeah.
So they had to, just out of necessity, write those songs to be memorable, just to hold themselves over until the next session.
Yeah, it has to be catchy.
And I guess we're just not as good as we used to be, having all these recording devices nearby. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, typically whenever I write something, it sticks to me for a pretty decent amount of time. I've forgotten way more than I remember, for sure. But yeah, ever since switching over to this format, I've just tried to adopt it for any and all activities. If I'm doing something, I'm recording it just in case. I might
Yeah.
mess up and do something cool. It
Which I'm
happens.
sure that happens a lot
Oh yeah.
because you're always doing cool stuff.
I tried.
No, you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What does the East Tennessee music scene mean to you, and what do you think it needs more of?
Venues. We don't have enough homes to share what we make with people anymore. A lot of places have closed down, and I'm not trying to throw shade by any means, but with a band like yours, for example, you probably wouldn't have as hard of a time getting a Monday night show somewhere as, say, Sumner Circle. People don't want to necessarily hear all that on a Monday. They're still recovering from the weekend. They've got work the next morning. So we have to be kind of particular about our markets and where we go and how we present ourselves, because, I mean, we're doing well, thankfully, but we still have, when we hit the road, Monday through Wednesday still sucks.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. A lot of people can't always swing it, and that sort of thing. So I wish that we had more homes, more places that we could come together, and because, I mean, that's where connections are made. That's where you find other bands that you want to take out with you for traveling.
Yeah.
That's where you meet your photographers. That's where you meet your videographers. That's where you meet your sound engineers, like all of the people that culminate to make the show happen. It's a great watering hole for collaboration across mediums, even, because, like I said, just photographers are worth their weight in gold, and so are good sound people. And I just don't run into enough of those at the grocery store. I only tend to
Right.
see those. I only tend to see them at shows. So
Exactly.
I wish that we had a couple of more places, and I think there are some things in the works to trying to pop up. I mean, there's always a business trying to pop up in Knoxville for sure, but I wish we had a few more outlets for it that we could bring more to the physical world and be less digital, like we said earlier.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially like with the Brickyard shutting down. Like, that would be a perfect
That was
place.
devastating.
Yeah, it was absolutely devastating when that shut down, and I could see how that would have been like a perfect weekday
Mm-hmm.
gig for you all, because I've watched so many different types of music happen there and met so many different types of people too. So it was heartbreaking when they shut that down.
Like, I love Alley Ray's, but they're not really the Summoner type of venue. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, there's a
Yeah.
bunch of places in town that are great rooms and super intimate and all the stuff that you like, but just not everybody is geared towards all the genres. And I know that part of that is our fault. You know what I mean? Like, we are a very particular flavor, and we get
Yeah.
that. But that's what I would think. I think the community is super solid. Everybody that you run into and talk to is really open about what they're dealing with and what they're looking forward to and what they're working on. And because back in the day, whenever I first got started in the Knoxville scene, like, it was very much a good old boys kind of club. Like, if you weren't in the pocket of the local promoter that more or less monopolized every venue in town, you weren't playing shows.
Yeah.
People weren't really sharing, oh, well, yeah, we booked this gig by talking to this guy. He's actually sitting over there at the bar, go talk to him. People wouldn't share that kind of stuff with you.
Yeah.
It was very dog eat dog, because there was some venue scarcity back then, a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But nowadays, I think it's healthier than it's ever been, in the sense that people are showing up to shows. People are all about it. They want to help. They want to share resources and information, and that part of it is great. I just wish we had a couple of more watering holes for it.
Yeah. I definitely agree. And there are a few locally, there are quite a few things that you can find, like Sunset on Central and Knox Music Coalition.
Mm-hmm.
You all need to check that out.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
I like making new friends.
Me too. You should go next time. What is the most important lesson a long career has taught you that a short one never could?
I don't think anything worth happening happens quickly. You see, I've seen people anyway that pop really quickly out of kind of nowhere, and then they kind of either plateau or completely fall off because they weren't necessarily ready for it.
Yeah.
I think had I not spent so many years playing to nobody and just learning to love the performance and enjoying the experience for what it is, I think I would have, like if I had started off getting that validation that I thought I deserved right off the rip, I would have never had the humbling experience of being told that I need to do better, or that my gear could be better, or that any of the things that needed improvement. I think that kind of helped me not necessarily develop tough skin, but it did make me more realistic about kind of how I was presenting and who I was, and how I was rubbing people. And so I think I actually needed that piece of humble pie really early on to help me
Yeah.
kind of set a good expectation and mentality for just playing the game.
I really love the way you put that. See, you say that you're not good with words, but I disagree with you.
Oh, I'm better with music than I am with words.
Well, you're great with words, so you're obviously fantastic with music.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You ready to head into that next segment before the hot seat?
Ooh, please.
Can we do it then?
Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm so pleased and thankful and grateful that you came back for another interview.
Anytime you need me, I'll be here. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, find you a Mandy, people. You hear him? He's so wonderful. So to thank you, I'm going to put you in the hot seat.
All right, let's do it.
So for those of you who do not know, the hot seat is a this or that or short answer question game that I play with my guests, and they have to answer as quickly as humanly possible. So, the Virgin Mandy or Mandy Wilson?
Mandy Wilson,
Electric or acoustic?
electric,
Studio or stage?
stage,
Playing in a band or going solo?
band, definitely,
One genre for the rest of your life. Which one is it?
ska.
Ooh, I didn't expect that.
I'm a sucker for some horns.
The guitarist who changed everything for you.
Ooh, guitarist that changed everything. Wow. I'm gonna say Captain Herb, honestly.
Captain Herb.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Captain. The song you will never get tired of playing.
Ooh. Pure Imagination from the Willy Wonka movie.
The song you wish you had written.
Anything Meatloaf is beautiful.
Absolutely. Top 5 bands.
Amy Winehouse, Sam Cooke, Celine Dion, Michael Jackson, Green Day.
What a broad range. You're so eclectic. So, what did your dad teach you about music that nobody else could have?
Dad taught me more than anything, I think, is just fundamentals, rudimentary, and doing what the song needs as opposed to what I want the song to have, I think. Not overplaying and really appreciating the pocket.
Great job, Dad. Great job.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the single most important piece of advice you could give an independent artist who is trying to build a long-term creative career?
Don't forget to maintain your relationships that help sustain your success, whether that be with your significant other, relationships with your bandmates, if you're doing it in that capacity, any of the people that you work with. Find your crew, find your street team, find whatever your support system is, and abuse them as long as you possibly can. Always remember who it is that is making these things able to happen for you, because sometimes our loved ones take the shaft sometimes. I know we said before that, like, doing this, I've missed out on birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, funerals, graduations, you name it. I've missed it because I had a gig somewhere.
Yeah.
And while it's great that we have those loved ones, sometimes we do kind of lose sight of the fact because we're so tunnel visioned on our success and our endeavors. Just remember to water the plants, take care of the people that take care of you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Where can everyone find you?
Summoner Circle is on all of the main social media whatnots. We're on all the streaming platforms that I know of. Definitely check that stuff out. I have a solo side piece project that doesn't really get, just whenever I happen to find the time. If people are interested, that's the Virgin Mandy. Got a couple of things on there, but yeah, just anywhere that has a search bar, you can find us.
Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you, listeners, for listening and getting to know more about Mandy Wilson, the wonderful human that he is.
You're too
And
kind.
no, I just tell the truth. Check out the show notes. You can find all those links to Mandy and Summoner Circle and all of the independent artists that we featured on today's episode. I want to thank my dear friend Mandy for coming back and giving us another conversation that I know I'm going to be thinking about for a very long time. Mandy's one of those rare humans who makes every room he walks into feel a little bit warmer, a little bit funnier, and a whole lot more honest. And I'm lucky to know him and I'm lucky to call him my friend. Here's what I want you to take away from the conversation with Mandy. Music was Mandy's first mistress, something forbidden, something with an allure he couldn't explain. And that secret obsession cultivated under headphones, smuggled in and burned on CDs, and protected even when everything else was taken away. It became the lens that he uses to view the entire world. Whatever your art is, protect it like that, even when nobody is telling you to. Do whatever it is in service of the music, not in service of yourself. Mandy's played across more genres with more bands and with more empty rooms than most musicians ever will. And his secret through all of it has been simple: check your ego at the door, do what the song needs, pay homage to the people who built the stage you're standing on, and study the rat. Fall in love with the performance first, before the money, before the crowd, before the validation. Mandy learned to put on incredible shows for 2 or 3 people at a time and be grateful for it. The humility is what kept him going through the setbacks and the stolen equipment and the venues that coasted him and the years of playing to nobody. If you can find the love in it before you find the reward, nothing can take it from you. And his final gift: remember to water the plants. Maintain the relationships that make all of this possible. Your bandmates, your partner, your people, the ones who show up for you when you have a gig on a Monday night, the ones who hold the whole thing together while you're out chasing the thing. Don't lose sight of them in the tunnel vision of building your career. Because at the end of the day, the music is the thing, but the people are the reason. You can find Mandy and Summoner Circle on all streaming platforms and social media. And keep an eye out for the Virgin Mandy solo project wherever you listen to music. I want to give a huge shout out to the incredible independent artists that I feature today: Summer Circle, thank you, Mandy, King's Reign, and Thor in the Reigns. Go check them out, show them some love, check the show notes, and remember, talent gets you the gig, but professionalism keeps it. As always, I'm your host, Josi J. And until next week, your time to evolve starts right now.
Can we do it?